Hello, everybody. We're actually on time for once. Like, kind of like right on time. So I feel really good about it. That's the first time I'm only going to mention it this one time. With me is HB, Mark, and Max,
Hello.
and the dev stream over there. How's everybody doing today?
Not too bad. Except the broken arm. Still not too bad.
Yeah, that's just it's a flesh wound. It's actually not a flesh
Come here, I can bite your ankles.
wound. Max, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I got my cup of coffee and I'm ready to go.
Mark, tell us
Good.
what's new.
A bit tired, but good. What's new? We're working on the roadmap, and it's exciting because we, for the first time ever in Foxhole, we're planning out a much larger roadmap than usual. So this is like pretty much plotting out almost every single possible vehicle and structures and weapons and so forth that we want in long run in the coming years, because as we get to 1.0, even though we're still going to be, not in a weird way, not a lot's going to change after 1.0. We're still going to continue working on the game. We're still going to update it. So sort of like the status quo will be maintained, but at least for the foreseeable future. But at the same time, we're probably going to reduce the frequency of like big changes to systems in the game. So we're not going to suddenly completely like overhaul the like the resource system, or completely overhaul how like items are made, or like that might happen, but the frequency of that is going to be much lower after 1.0. So what this allows us to do is to plan a bit further ahead with the content, because we know that suddenly we're not going to completely change the way that you make vehicles, as an example. So this is really exciting for us, because in the past it's always been like, well, let's hold off on those ideas because this big thing might change. But now it's like, now it's almost like the fun part. Now we get to say, okay, now let's finally think about, all those really cool ideas you had. Let's start planning it out. That's what we can say now to each other, which has actually been super fun, because it's much more fun working on some of that stuff than it is working on some of the more complex game design issues, which are still there. But it, you know, right now the immediate thing that we're working on is this, and we're planning out what's going to go in the winter update, which is the next larger skill update for Foxhole, and that's been really fun as well. I think I'm hoping that the stuff that you guys are going to see there are things that you've been asking about for a while. Yeah, in general, it's been you get in this weird mode when it's like the frequency of really difficult, like, you wanna um frustrating design problems, when the amount of that is not as high. It's kind of weird, because it's like, wait a minute, like, how come I'm not like completely stressed out today about this game design issue? There must be something wrong. Why am I just thinking about this other thing? So um but anyways, that's where things are at.
That's cool. I like that we're in a bigger planning phase at the moment, personally.
Yeah.
All right, HB and Max,
Yes.
why don't you guys take us through community highlights?
Awesome.
And
Community highlights, as people know, it's the actual blog post that happens in the week after this dev stream, in which we put all the cool stuff that the community has made, and we do a little bit of preview right now. So
cool.
yeah, let's check it out.
I wanna mention something, HB.
Yes.
Why don't you let me know when you want to switch to slides this time?
Yes, that's good.
Cool.
You can switch the slides. Awesome. Okay, this is really cool. This is the Warden Guard and the Colonel's Legionary. These are made by Sarcastic, which has made some pretty cool stuff before as well. I think I particularly like the way that it kind of looks like. This is gonna sound really weird. It's kind of look like claw cards, you know.
I don't know what that means.
What?
It's from Sakura Card Captor, whatever.
Oh.
It didn't help, but I'll take your word for it.
It is no, it's really cool because like I think like the iconography of having like the silver on one side, like the gold on the other side, it's very clear that different factions. It completely it's rare that we see like different color schemes being used without losing the identity of Foxhole. And I think Sarcastic kind of managed. You know, I think it's really cool.
There's an attention to detail in this that I'm not going to point out, but there's some really good attention to detail.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to
No,
say.
I really like it. I really like it. Yeah, you can go to the next one, Mark. Okay. So as per usual, Lego creations are some of my favorite ones, and
We've been having like a lot of Lego lately.
Zerking has
It's
been
so
like on a
good.
roll. It's really well made. I mentioned before that I particularly like when you get to see like also the environment and all the things working together, not just the vehicle. And the vehicle is already like top notch. Don't get me wrong, but having like being able to actually see the vehicle carrying the other ones, carrying the like the other the AC and carrying the container, it's just so cool. And just like the little detail of having like the watchtower, like as if it's almost a throwaway in comparison to everything else, but everything works so well. I love it. I absolutely love it.
The attention to detail again in the road and in the like foliage is remarkably
so good. So I've been talking to the Lego creators. It's just something I haven't told Mark yet. I've been talking to the Lego creators. I want to see if I can actually get one of these done in real life. And I was really excited to do it. And then I broke my arm, and I was like, the whole thing went to shit. But my idea is to actually see if I can put one of those together. To have for us, it would be really cool.
Paper.
Yeah, making out of paper. Well, also a little bit of a problem with my broken arm.
Yeah, you only need one hand. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, right?
Pro.
But I would love to be able to put one of these together to actually get one. I think the biggest problem that we have is some of the creations require some pieces to be on a different color. And when you are in the software, in the digital software, you can change the color to any of them. And some more specialized pieces are not made in all the colors available in the Lego spectrum. So that might require me to recolor some of them. But other than that, it's pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited.
I think the biggest feat here is actually fitting the package like armored car onto the back of the flatbed truck. Like that's something that when we actually did the model, it was really hard. So doing it in Lego must have been
be a nightmare. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. I think the quality, the quality of like the Lego creations is also getting better and better as we see more of them. Because like we've seen them before. Now I think we're going more into the abstraction, because if you look at any Lego creation, and even the technique ones and stuff like that, there is some abstraction in the forms, but they work. And I think these are definitely getting there. This is really good.
Can we just talk for one last second about the light reflection?
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
I just noticed that and I was like, damn.
That is really fucking cool. That's really good. I love that. Yeah. Okay, anyway, this is absolutely good. I could talk about Legos all day. Let's go to the next one, Mark. Asagiri. Asagiri has done Foxhole comics before, and these are, I think these are new ones. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max.
Yeah, they're good. They're new ones. I love these ones because they're especially poignant to some of the weirder gimmicks in the game. Like how you can't shoot the guy out of your vehicle once he gets in with you. Like how you could just convert dead soldiers into shirts.
That's not a
Pretty great.
gimmick. What are you talking about?
I just
Foxhole
want
is 100% realistic.
I just want to say that the first one there, A Bridge Too Far. A Bridge Too Far was the original name of Deadlands.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I
It was the
thought
file name.
yeah, I thought I remember that name. I was like, where is this from? Yeah, it was the
It's
file
also a
name.
movie.
Oh, okay.
Matt, that reminds me of those first few like tests that we had. I recall 2 tests. One where I think this was like the first one where our dev team was like 7 people. And I think we had like a 3 versus 3, and like that was the first time
It was a rush for the metal resources so that we could build guns.
Yes, because we actually we had a lot of like scarcity in that first test, which I know everyone loves to hear about. But it was like one side they got control of all the metal, and the other side wasn't able to make any weapons, and they got screwed. But there was this one, I think there was like a machine gun emplacement, which is surprisingly enough, like we had a machine gun emplacement that was
ridiculous.
Like plopped
Yeah.
right in front of like the metal field, and like the other side was not able to get access to like the metal, and then the other test we had I won't talk about, but maybe I'll save that. Maybe I'll save that story for like the next one. But.
Anyway, the very first version of Deadlands was called The Bridge Too Far, and that's really all I wanted to say. I think like that was the name. I think it was called that still in the combat test, and then
have been, yeah.
And then the map was like migrated to the Deadlands we know and love now. Sorry, go on.
When we go to Devstream, when we get to Devstream 100, maybe we do a reminiscence Devstream. We just talk about old stories of Foxhole. Anyway, let's go to the next one, Mark. Oh, Ren. Fuck, Ren and his renders. Her. Not sure. Their renders. Amazing job. Yeah, they sure are colonials. And this is just really cool. I really like fire simulation. I know it's getting better and better with different softwares and stuff like that, but just to have like just to have like this illumination, like the whole direction of the scene, it's really well done. Like the way Ren framed like the whole fire and the tank destroyed, it's just so fucking cool. It's so nice. Yeah, no, I love it. I think this could be easily like a contender of the last art contest that we'd made, in which like, yeah, this is after the battle. I was like, did we have to like actually destroy the tank? Couldn't have like kept it somehow? It's really good.
It would be cool as like a background for like a game menu, you know, like
yeah.
you know, like Dragon Age where you're like playing it and you can see the soldiers walking in the background, like.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, missed opportunity here to have the soldier light the cigarette off of the.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, man. I was thinking
hard animation, man.
I know, but it's. I was just like, it's right there. That's your next challenge.
Yeah.
Sorry. What's
Foxhole, the adventure game, where it's like a classic old school adventure game where you're kind of point and clicky, right? And you gotta walk over and have a conversation with that guy having like a cigarette, and he has like a gruff voice.
And then you have to get the rubber chicken with the pulley in the middle, and
somehow I see this more as being like a Don't Starve in Foxhole, in which like you get to huddle around like the tank fire and like just scrunch for soldier supplies and fight wardens that are attacking from the night. That would be really cool as well. Cool. Anyway, next one, Mark. This one, Mummy. Mummy is extremely prolific with their artwork.
I was gonna say I'm starting to
Eh,
see a lot of names like repeat, like they're just putting out
Like
work.
there's
like,
some people that really and one of the things that it always impressed me about Mummy in particular is that they get to change their art style very much and still keep like a very high level quality and consistency in it. Like it's quite impressive. I quite like it. I think the composition, you know, it's
I
good.
want to
It's pretty
add.
good.
I
Go
want to
on.
add for this one especially. This one was given to Ferendris to commemorate CRG's bombing of the mass production factory in the last
Oh,
war or the two wars ago? No, last
so
war.
these are a bunch of solid snakes.
Yeah, these are the solid snakes. So CRG, this clan, had actually sent us this message. We were worried at one point during the last war because we found out all the warden mass production orders just disappeared. And we were really worried for a second that it was a bug, and then we found out that this group of players had gone in and bombed the MPF, which breathed a sigh of relief for us because at least it was intended, or at least it was like intentional. It wasn't griefing or anything like that. But then they were really proud of it. They did it again, and we had to increase the health on the MPF, and then now I think the orders persist. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the orders persist now.
and
You
these
changed the
guys,
game.
I know. Yeah, you literally changed the game. And these guys messaged me. They were very upset. They were like, "Oh, we didn't tell you because we wanted you to fix it. We told you because we thought it was cool." And I just wanted to say thank you guys for reporting it early on and letting us know how you did it. So, even though it was like a little bit like it was rough, at least you guys let us know and we can make
You
the
know
game
what
better.
though? I think even though we did fix it, it did like inspire us for future opportunities of like this being a cool thing. Maybe there is a role in the game, but maybe it shouldn't quite be so harsh. Maybe there is something there to it though. So
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Very cool.
It is very very cool. Next one, Mark. Oh yeah. This is from Maranova. I didn't get to see the rest of it. If there is anything else, Max, the Civish Defender, are there the 8 wonders or 7
I
wonders?
didn't see these ones. No.
Oh, okay.
This travel
That's
guide is so cool.
yeah. I would love to know if like there actually are like a whole feature like in a magazine to see if there's anything else. But it's extremely cool that like people so like people have been doing newspapers and magazines for a while now, but I really like the fact that this is kind of like branching out, not just than just like war reporting and just reporting stories about the war, but also like building up on the foundations that we lay out on the world. The players build something and that becomes part of the lore, and like, oh, these are the things that we remember that were important. So I love that. I absolutely love the wonders of the wonders of the Civish world.
Yeah, I think
Pirate Leader is saying there are more pages. I would love to see them. I actually didn't get to see them.
I think except for the Statue of Callahan, everything else there is like some fortress or something the players built.
Yeah.
Or like a commemorative, like
Remembrance.
the tank graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really really cool. I really like the way it was integrated. I think, and we keep talking about like how the design and quality of the submissions have been getting higher and higher. I also believe that is true for the graphic design of the magazine or newspaper. It's more of a magazine design of the Civish Defender. It looks like a proper like design made in like made with the proper tools that a graphic designer would use. I actually quite love it.
It's actually pretty cool to see over the years like the different like people who continue to submit things get better at what they're doing. It's just kind
absolutely
of it's kind of a cool like side benefit to having done these community highlights like over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, we get to see their improvement. Rickery is another one that just has been swimming with us for a while now. And I really like the concept of having secret police. I don't know how well it would fit straight away in the game, but it just gets you thinking about, because we try to we know that like partisan is a problem, but on the other hand, there is some appeal to it. Otherwise, people wouldn't do it. Of you trying to infiltrate the enemy and like destroy it from within, and having secret police somehow, if that was actually more integrated part of the game to deal with like traitors and partisans and stuff like that, and trying to infiltrate the other regions, that would be, I don't know, I think that is a concept is really cool.
I mean, even if it's something that can't really fit into like the all-out war, it certainly fits with the nature of this world. So, so it's still kind of a really interesting idea, regardless. And also, I like when people put their stuff into like our formatting. It always like tickles me. It's pretty much like our layout for like how we present this kind of stuff. So it's cool.
Well, next one, Mark. This one I'm gonna give the reins to Max, actually, because he's the one that knows what's about the video there.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to watch it.
I didn't
so-
watch it all the way through either, but what this is, which I thought was absolutely cool, this is Lysic. These guys did a D&D campaign that's Foxhole themed, and the video is the recap. So we don't need to play it. It's really good. I don't know who's voicing it, but Lysic did some art for one of the characters there, and
Oh, that's what it
apparently
is.
they're starting a Foxhole D&D.
That is really cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I saw that there was D&D related, but I couldn't figure out if this was just like a campaign that actually happened, or if it was.
I think this is interesting because I think this is based on like a fan fiction version of like Dead Harvest, which is why you have like the floating, like the Bureau of Occult Warfare stuff, like.
Yeah, it's somehow supernatural. For sure.
Yeah. It's not like canon Foxhole, but it's spun off of something that was spun off of Foxhole, so that's pretty cool.
But I put the link in the chat channel there, guys, for anybody who wants to take a look. It's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna keep an eye on this one, because if it is a D&D campaign, or I don't know, we say D&D. Unfortunately, in North America, D&D is synonym with tabletop RPG. But if it is, it's probably a different system. I don't know if it uses D20. So I think like if it is like some sort of tabletop RPG system, I would love to know more about it. I've been playing, and I've professionally worked with RPG systems before, and I'd love to know more about this one. If it is a D20, even if it's not, whatever it is, absolutely, I'll check it out. It's pretty cool. That is really, really cool. Yeah, I think that's it for today. We're gonna go to development update. Just so you guys know, if there's like the blog post has way more stuff. This is literally just a preview of some of the cool stuff that you get to see there, some of the cool stuff that the community made. So if there's anything that you've made that doesn't make it either to the preview or to the actual blog post, please let us know. It's so much stuff that sometimes we miss things. Talk to me, talk to KFC, and we'll try to include everybody that has interest in it. So thank you very much for supplying us with really, really cool stuff all this time.
Great. Moving on to development update. So our goal with the arms race update was to start building out these new tech trees for both factions, and to build them up to the point where every war can feel a little bit like a fresh war. Just because the same tech won't be seen again for at least a while, or at least players have a choice in choosing what is shown, what's going to show up in that war, what's researched, and what's not. So between Arms Race and the Winter Update, we're going to continue to build up the tech trees for each faction. And we're going to be doing a point release for Update 38. So this is sort of the halfway point between Update 38 and 39, where we're going to be seeing some new tech, some new vehicles for both sides, and Max is going to walk you through what that is. I will proceed, Max.
Yeah. Okay, so the first vehicle that we're going to show you guys off, or show off is the anti-tank armored car. What this is the main thing to take note of is the 13.5 millimeter armament. This is the AT rifle, but placed on a car that's a more stable firing platform. A lot of players were disappointed that the Colonials didn't have a lot of AT options, given the huge number of Warden AT options, like the AT half track and the Silverhand. Granted, this won't be a steep competition for any of those late game vehicles, but what we're hoping is we'll be able to see more of these vehicles, these early game vehicles, making an appearance in the late game with some form of role. So we hope we balanced it reasonably well for that toward that end. So you hopefully you guys will see it somewhere around the middle of the tech tree. The most challenging part of developing this one was this is the first time we've actually got like a direct fire turret that's really going on. So you guys, the only direct fire weapons that we've had on a vehicle before has been like an HMG, but now that we have a turret, we've got this thing that you can fully swivel around, that can be fully automatic, and hopefully do some decent damage to the enemy vehicles. It's open topped, and it's reasonably fast off road. So it's sort of like one of those annoying little anti-tank vehicles that can sort of buzz around the battlefield and give you guys a little bit more flexibility for dealing with armor.
So one quick question that I have going to ask on behalf of players, because I know they're already asking it and I know what's going to be asked, is what's the purpose behind the open top?
It's definitely being asked very much in the chat right now.
It looks cool.
Cool.
I mean, so Julian would be remiss if I didn't mention this. The reason that vehicles were open topped in real life were because it gave you a better view of the battlefield. Being able to see 360 degrees was a major advantage. In our game, it's similar. You're up high, so you get to see more. But I mean, the Colonials are a faction that, to my mind, doesn't value their life as highly as some of the Warden counterparts. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, our Lord Master.
Remember, he's saying this lore-wise, not actually the players.
Yeah, the players
the
too.
players don't value their lives as much.
So they favor the more offensive, being able to see more, make the better use of those players while they're in that position. And if the player so happens to die, then you put a new one in there.
So the summary is that this is more for like a lore reason and like a theme reason. And yeah.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think it's also to make the vehicle stand aside from some of the other vehicles, and to just have it behave like slightly different. So cool. I'll move on to the Warden vehicle. If you're ready, Max.
I'm ready.
Is everyone ready? I don't know if everyone's ready. Maybe we should just sit here for another 5 minutes. Never mind. I'll
Before you start, I just want to say
Okay.
I love this vehicle. Like, so much.
I think it's divisive.
Yeah, I think so too. But I really like it.
It will be divisive, but I love it personally. At first, like the look was a little bit shocking, but I've grown to really like it. It's super unique. But Max, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so this one is very much almost the opposite of what the colonial tankette. The idea here is that it's slow, it's cumbersome, it's not that heavily armored. It's heavy, but it's heavy because of its armament. The vehicle is going to have a 40 millimeter cannon. This is the same. It's going to fire the same ammunition as a light tank, which I'm excited to see because, like, up until now, you guys have been able to build 40 millimeter ammo since the very start of the game. You've had nothing you could use to fire it, but now you do. So this thing can fire 40 millimeter round, but it has some major drawbacks. So I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, holy crap, that's going to be so OP." But one of the major drawbacks is the turret turns pretty slow. And when I say pretty slow, I mean really slow. And it's not as heavily armored, and it's fairly, and it's not maneuverable. So this thing's pretty slow off road. But what we felt like we needed to add this one in was because the reverse issue with the Wardens is the same as the Colonials. Is they don't really have the dedicated anti-structure vehicles. The Colonials got the mortar tank and the mortar half track, but the Wardens have been dealing with a lot of just AT weapons. So hopefully, we're hoping that this will help round it out a little bit. But sorry, one last major detriment is that it doesn't shoot the full 40 meters, so it's a 30 meter range.
Great. I really like how you put it. It's like the inverse of a tankette. So if like the tankette was combined with this, we would have like a light tank, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And here's the other views on it. Um,
I
great.
love it. It looks like it's wearing a hat. It's great. I really like the design.
Cool.
Yeah, I was worried about this one when it was coming through the pipeline. It felt like it was going to be like too big and clunky and out of place. But now that it's in game, like, and I've seen it side by
It
side,
looks
with the
really
armor cars,
good.
It looks
in
really
game.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually I changed my mind. I'll talk about that on the next stream. Sorry. Sorry, there's always things flying through my mind, and I'm like, should I talk about it? Should I not now? But
I mean, it's tough sometimes because like what we show isn't what we have done. Like, there's
we're all
stuff...
working on various different things, and then I'll realize, wait, this is not coming to point release. It's coming to update 39, and it's probably better to just hold off on that. But cool. I'm excited about building out the early game bit, and let's move on to what's next. Which this is just a small note here that I want to make, but it might be new for players who joined us with update 37. Is that the Rockets will be returning in the next war? This is something where at the last moment for update 37, there were a couple of corner cases that we had to deal with, and a couple of uncertainties with the tech tree that we had to deal with that didn't allow us to put in the rocket. So it went on a bit of a hiatus, but it's going to be coming back in this war. So it's something you can look forward to. For the old players, can look forward to return, and for new players, they'll be able to see this for the first time. And
For those new players,
Yeah.
what is the rocket sight?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. It Rocket Sight is an end game super weapon that requires a lot of collaboration to build and to fuel. Players in a large group are able to build it. They're able to fuel it. It takes 24 hours to fuel to fire across regions, and but in order to fire it, that also takes a large coordinated group because you need to have a spotter at the target, and they have to essentially use the radio backpack to send the targeting coordinates, the targeting information back to the rocket site in order for it to fire. So it's basically it's like an end game kind of like mountain goal that requires a lot of players to operate. And when you pull it off, the end result is the target. If the target gets hit, well, first of all, there's a warning countdown, so everyone in a town that's about to become a target of a rocket is warned, and you can evacuate. But once the rocket hits a town, it destroys every building in the town. It scorches all the buildings, which effectively means that the town is not able to be rebuilt at that point. So essentially, you're essentially like nuking an entire town, and that town is gone forever in the game. Never for the war. It's gone. It's never. You're not able to rebuild it for the remainder of the war. Cool. Moving on to our last thing, which is the Dead Harvest event. This we have a new name this year. I don't know, Matt, if you want to touch on that very briefly.
Sure, I don't want to give too much away, but this year is going to be the Dead Harvest Reckoning. Last year, so the first year was the introduction of the Dead Harvest Accord, which is this is kind of like a side, like an alternate reality Foxhole that is like a Halloween event that we do every year, just for some background. In the first event, we introduced the Accord, which was an agreement between Colonials and Wardens to fight against the undead horde, and the cursed, if you will. And the second year was the Dead Harvest Deception, which was kind of turned out to be that the cursed were used against one another in warfare and all out warfare. So this year is going to be the reckoning of the previous year's events.
And the reason for that, I think we're gonna talk more on the next dev stream, right?
Yeah, we're not gonna go any further than that. You can glean some things from this image, though.
Yeah.
And to slip in there, just the note that we made last time, which I'm just gonna make again this time, is that one of the things that is going to be different in Focus this year is that we're not going to be implementing a custom game mode for the event like we did in last year. Rather, it's going to play much more like a normal World Conquest, except there is going to be some cool fantastical elements to it, which hopefully will make for a fun event. So
yeah,
it's going to be different, but I think it's going to be cool in its own way. So. And
I think so. Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, HP?
No, just keep an eye open. Come back on the next dev stream. I think the next dev stream is gonna be the one, and we're actually gonna talk way more about it. We're still working on that harvest right now, for what is it going to be. I think as we mentioned the last dev stream, it is going to be a smaller affair in regards to like changing the game and things like that than it was on the previous years.
Right, but there is some stuff that I personally think is going to be
but
cooler.
there is going to be some new stuff, and I think we were again, that harvest was not even supposed to happen this year. I think we found a good compromise, but there is some really cool stuff that is new that I think will lead some really interesting moments and to a really interesting war.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. And that wraps it up. So make sure, well, it doesn't wrap up the stream, but wraps up the development updates.
Start asking your questions, everybody. There's one already in the chat right now, so I'll just ask it. It's pretty general. Hi guys, thanks for this is from Dury, by the way. Hi guys, thanks for the work so far. Do you plan to change or implement new infantry features?
New infantry features?
It's a very general question, so I'll let you interpret it as you will.
Yeah, I think in fact, winter update will have a pretty big focus there. So yeah, I think we spent a lot of time on the base building. We spent a lot of time on the vehicle side, and I think the infantry side is probably going to get some interesting updates at the end of the year. So
kind of, I'm changing the wording of the question, but it's a decent question. From Dragoneer. When is the nuke coming back?
Which war?
The rocket.
In the next one.
Okay, the next war.
Yeah.
Not the next update, but the next war.
The next war.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey guys,
Um,
just a quick update, just a quick reminder. If you spend the same message 10 times in a row, it doesn't change anything.
yeah,
So
I'm
please
gonna ignore
make it
Although,
easier for us to read your messages. Do not spam
Matt,
them.
although Matt, I'm gonna be really picky about that question and say that nukes are never coming back because they're not
But
nukes.
that's why I changed my wording to rocket. Okay, you say things sometimes. The question
Yes.
was nuke. So anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Miss Sunships has a really important question. Who is the tallest developer? I'll let you guys talk about that for a second.
It's not me for sure. Used to be Chris, but I don't know who it is anymore.
Definitely was
It might
Chris.
be.
Might be
It might-
whom?
It might be me. Not to like toot my own horn or anything.
Are you taller than Casey? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm 6 feet, so
Max is kind of
you'll ask
tall.
him later.
How tall
I
are you,
use
Max?
real-
I'm not 6 feet though.
Okay.
I use real measurements. I don't know what 6 feet is.
Are the wardens liquid popsicle? Are the wardens getting any more vehicles than just the new AC?
Yeah, they're getting a lot of vehicles. Just not for this next war. For both factions, we feel like we still have a long way to go before we feel like there are not any gaps in the tech. It's going to take us quite a few months to get there, and even once we get there, I think there's a whole lot more we still want to do. Like I mentioned at 1.0, even though some things will be a little different in the way we do things, in a lot of ways it's not. We're going to continue to add content to the game. And so a bunch of the work that we've been doing, as I mentioned being the stream, was working on the roadmap. And Max and Julian and myself have been like pouring over the content roadmap in the last couple of weeks and basically hammering down every single thing we want to eventually see in the game. And there's a lot in there. I actually at first thought there wouldn't be. I was really worried that we'd be in a place where we feel like we're stretching the content thin and we'd be scraping the barrel, having to like really try hard to come up with ideas. But when I looked at some of the stuff that we came up with, I'm not worried about that anymore. I feel like we're not going to hit that wall of like not enough ideas, or that feeling of us having to scrape the barrel. So there's a lot more to come for both factions.
It's exciting. Cypress Rabbit asks, will we be getting any new bunker mechanics in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that the foundation of bunkers is there in terms of the system. So the system is there. I think things that it needs are probably some quality of life in some areas. I think it could have more interesting content, so more things you can build in your bunkers. And I think in terms of like the mechanics side, I think the power system is not utilized enough, and I think there could be more of this fun base building game there that can be surfaced by hooking into some of those features there. And another thing is the storm cannon. When we originally planned out the bunker system, we wanted there to be multiple like mountain goals that you can achieve with these bases. And we had a couple of ideas, and we have a couple of things planned. And right now, the only one that exists in the game is the storm cannon. But there's other mountain goals that we would really like to see. And it was sort of the combat side was the fact that the first mountain goal was a weapon was sort of the obvious choice. But there's a lot of um, things we want to add that are not even related to firing weapons, or like there's things on the intel side that will be cool to explore in terms of mounting goals with bunkers. There's things like hospitals and other like they're just Foxhole is such a multifaceted game that it just leaves this huge. There's a lot of room to explore there. If you imagine a huge bunker and all the different facilities that you can build in one, I think we're excited about that thought, right? So, yeah, definitely more to come.
Stranger Days has a question. Are there any plans to change the tech system to reduce infighting? It has been awful to fight my own team on tech. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, now that we had
Don't
a
fight your own team.
I mean, that's easier said than done, of course. If we foster fighting, that is a problem.
Yeah, now that we've seen the tech tree run through a couple of wars, we're hearing about that. So I think we have to take a look at it and determine if and what should be done. But we've definitely heard that feedback, and I think there are ways that can be reduced. So I think the tech tree system in general is like we're quite happy with it. Again, in general, but specific parts of it, like the issue that you mentioned there, Stranger Days, are things that we can tweak and things that we can change, right? So
I think one of the key bits of feedback that we've been getting about the tech tree that we agree with is that it sucks when you are in that dispute. Like even if you're not fighting with your team and you're just properly like just putting in your vote for whatever thing you think needs to be built. If you don't win that race, then all of your effort feels like it was wasted. It just goes into a tech that you're not going to get. I think that's reasonable, a reasonable frustration for all players.
ZZ Cool 200 starts the comment by saying that they love the game and love seeing how far it has come. And they are wondering if there will be more additions to faction-specific structures, weapons, emplacements, etc., etc. So, like, as opposed to the neutral ones that we have now.
yeah, I think we're going to continue down that direction. So I think that's a confident yes.
Confirmed.
Confirmed and very excited to work on.
I can't remember. Give me 1 second. There was a question that I wanted to ask, and I lost who asked it, but whoever you are, you're awesome. Is there any chance of a third faction?
How about the curse? Does that count? No.
I'll
I
tell
think
you.
at this stage, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'll tell you, like, conceptually, there's a lot of ideas that I could bring to the table, but I think it's more of a technical problem. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it's not.
And also, like,
technical
workflow.
problem, but I think going to those big sweeping changes, the amount of those is probably going to be reduced once the frequency of that is going to be reduced once we get to 1.0. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It's hard to talk about what all the crazy possibilities could be for Foxhole, like in the years to come. So you're probably never going to get a hard no out of us, but not in any kind of like foreseeable future. Like not, I would say in the next year or two, probably not. Yeah.
If you're interested in other factions, you can read the Chronicle of Ashes on foxholegame.com. Is it foxholegame.com?
Yeah, it is. Just as a heads up, I did answer that question as well in text. I said like very unlikely for before 1.0. Just
You know what is a cool exploratory thought though? That is separate from all this. It's just a thought. What would be cool is if there was a third and fourth faction, but they weren't like four competing factions. You just take on these two other factions. So there's a whole war where the Wardens and the Colonials were completely missing, and instead you were fighting in that like Civil War, Matt, the Red River demo, and this is all just like exploratory thoughts. But I just thought that would be kind of neat, because then you could do something like, it's set in a different place, and there's like, maybe it's like jungle warfare, and something like that. No, again,
That's not
as an
confirmed.
exploratory, again as an
Jungle warfare.
as an exploratory thought.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask 2 more questions. So this is a good one. Cal Moore asks, would it be possible to implement visible projectile traces for long-range weaponry, like the FAN mortar, for better clarity?
That's an interesting one to think about.
They're kind of like instant, aren't they? In terms of like how they're technically like implemented. It's not like physically an object moving through the sky, which does make that a little harder.
But to be fair, there are games that do things like that. You can, if you look at like how some games deal with sniper rifles, and on a hit scan, like the bullet is instant, but it leaves a trail.
Well, all of our weapons are, a lot of our weapons anyway are
Instant,
are similar.
yeah.
But when it comes to like a mortar, it's not a straight line, so that makes it difficult. But even from the effects side, I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit. There's probably something that can be done. You probably wouldn't know where it's from, though. You would just know that like a little. Maybe I can make it show a little bit further away where it hits through like a trail in the sky or something. I don't know. Like there are things we can do. I think when you have like an arcing thing that isn't a physical object that goes through, like a grenade is easy, you can see it be thrown. But when it's like from this perspective and it goes like up over the camera and then comes down, that's a little harder to do just visually as opposed to physically. I'm sure there's a way, but it hasn't been something that we looked into that deeply, I don't think.
I think that maybe there is something to it. Yeah, then again, we never explored it, never investigated this. But there could be something like, for instance, like if you have a crater here, and then the smoke of whatever is the projectile it hits instantly, but it creates sort of like a smoke arc. That might be enough to indicate direction somehow, even on the top-down camera that we have, if it's a little bit curved.
Yeah, we
I
have to
don't know
just
how
calculate that
readable
like
would that be.
vector and stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's definitely not impossible. I'm sure there's a way we could make it read.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
we never looked into it that deeply for things like that, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna look for a good question. The last question. Goku04 asks, will we be getting any new types of defenses? They actually asked 3 questions, but I'm only gonna ask that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Or better yet, like what are your thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, what we wanted to do was some of the general purpose defenses we had in the game for a very long time, like the gun nest and to some degree the gun turret and the foxhole also fall under this category. They were very old structures that we had in the game, and they came from a time when there was very little content and all you had was that. So they were designed at the time to be extremely general purpose. Like they're just this thing that you slap down. It takes care of everything. It shoots 360 degrees. There weren't really a lot of like drawbacks and so on and so forth. So as we started building out this other side of the game with the town defenses and the emplacements and the bunker bases, all these other things were way more interesting. Like the emplacements are a PvP things. They require a crane. They have their own trade-offs. The bunkers requires a bunker and its own set of like requirements there. It is interesting, and the towns have like the garrison houses, and there's other cool things there that we would like to add. But the defenses that the old defenses in stark contrast were just these things you slap down. And I think what we want to do is move more away from just these general purpose things that you can slap down into sort of the all purpose thing that works in every situation to more like the other categories of things I described, right? Like the PvP emplacements, like the bunker bases, like the towns. I think there's more cooler things that we would like to do with the towns, right? And we would like to add back some more options for builders, but under the framework of this sort of like the newer philosophy, right? Yeah. So the short answer is yes, but we'll probably be leaning away from these general purpose like defenses that we had in the past.
Sounds really, really good. HB.
Yes.
Well, before I go to you, do you guys have any final thoughts? Anything to talk about, announce, etc.?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. So I'm not gonna ask a question from the chat, but there's a lot of people are talking about general balance, and I just want to make sure that we address, the balance concerns. Guys, I honestly, I think the best way, if you think something is unbalanced and you want us to take a look at it, the best way is to send me a video of what you think looks unbalanced and why you think it's unbalanced. That's usually the best way to get through. So if you guys have any comments on balance whatsoever about any vehicle, send it to Crazy Flying Chicken. I'm in the Discord, or you can ping me in the Foxhole discussion, and I'm always thrilled to get those videos.
Sounds good. Mark, any thoughts?
No, except watch the next stream because it's going to be exciting.
Next stream's gonna be cool. HB, takes away.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, very much, everybody, for chatting in the chat as well, regardless of how much you guys hate us. Apparently, it's fine. We do read them, and we take in consideration what you guys said, even if you don't believe us. Join us next time in 2 weeks at 2 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/foxholegame. We also gonna archive this on YouTube sometime this week on youtube.com/foxhole. You guys then, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can ask some questions in the comments. We try to answer questions on the first after video is posted, on the first period after the video posted. We try to answer questions in the comments there. And keep an eye open for the dev blog that is coming next week, right?
The dev blog,
Be a dev blog?
I do want to make a note on that actually. Now you brought it up, I did make a quick post on this on FOD, and basically what I said was we know we haven't been that consistent with the blogs, and I think we just have to figure out what's the best way, how we can do them moving forward. Like, what's the schedule that will work out well? So
We don't just want to do like a fluff blog.
Yeah, so I think for the time being, they're sort of being placed on hold, but everything else is going to continue as usual, like the streams and the highlight. And that doesn't mean the blog's not going to come back. It just means that we're just trying to figure out the best way to schedule them in.
Fair enough. Okay, so we are me, Matt, Max, we're gonna be having our usual Clapfoot After Dark next week on Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/Clapfoot. Other than that, join us on Discord, talk on Reddit, and that's it.
All right, everybody. Stay foxy.